and totally breaking out on this board, sitting with ace 10 high. I decided to check out of position, and he actually checks it back. The turn comes another 3, and I check here, although this is a very good card for us. Sometimes I can bet to protect my ace 10 high, but he doesn't check it back. He throws out a bet of $40. Having a very good bluff catcher here, I think folding here is probably a mistake a lot of the time. I defend and make the call for 40. The river comes an interesting card. It's another queen. Now I obviously feel really good about my ace high, and not that good about it when he throws out another bet of $130. This double paired board on the river here seems like a pretty bad spot for him to be bluffing on. He's a pretty confident player, so I feel like him bluffing here is not going to work out too often. Especially river bets aren't really going to work out. Like, what am I really up against? Sometimes I'm up against a 3, like ace 3 or something like that. As played, I don't put too many queens in his range. I make the call, and surely enough, he shows us queen 10, so not great for us. Nice hand, Matt. This next hand in, a few orbits later, picking up pocket 7s from the cutoff, I decide to open things up to $20. This is the third time in a row that I'm raising and opening in this spot, so I've been pretty active so far. We only get one player to make the call on the button, and we're off to a flop. The flop comes ace, ace 4, 2 hearts, out of position on a paired board. I think we can bet to protect our pair here, deny some equity from overcards or flush draws. So I throw out a bet of $20, and he decides on a call. The turn comes the 3 of spades, and I don't really think that this card here is going to change too much, so I decided to just check. Probably go into check call mode on this turn card. He does throw out a bet of $65 into 80, which is pretty large. It feels like he wants to have a fold more often, and I feel like with this larger bet, seems like he's trying to polarize himself, but I don't think he really needs to polarize himself on this board. Any bet is going to be trips or a flush draw. So with that said, obviously I'm not folding just yet. I make the call for 65. Off to a river, which comes the 5 of clubs. There is a 4-liner out there. How many deuces are in his range? I'm not entirely sure. With that said, I check, hoping to get the showdown, but it doesn't get to that point. He now assembles a bet of $140. Now I tank. It's a pretty large-ish sizing, about 2/3 pot. I check my cards to see if I have a heart, and I do not. I think given how this hand is played, it's a fairly close spot, and I think my decision is going to rely on the turn sizing that he decided to choose out there. Seemed like 65 into 80 was more of a bet that wanted more folds than calls. I felt like he really didn't need to polarize himself if he had trips, and just might size down a little bit more if he did have trips. So with that said, I have a pretty good bluff catcher, or at least good enough. I decided to toss in a call since folding is quite boring. He announces king high, so assume he had a king high flush draw and doesn't want to show. So I show my pocket 7s, and we're going to take down the pot. This next hand, we move out of that table onto another one that seemed like had more action in it, and this first hand on this other table, ace-king offsuit on the big blind, and we're playing 5-handed. There are 2 limpers to me, and obviously we are not going to be limping it or checking our option. We raise to $30, and both limpers make the call. So 3 ways to a flop, which comes ace, ace, king. Wow, what the hell can we do about this? So when it checks to me, I decided to play this a little bit trickier with the entire board locked up. Not too many value hands I think that I can get money from, so I check. The cutoff throws out a really large sizing of $75. The small blind folds, and obviously, as played, we're just going to be making the call. The turn comes the 9 of spades, not a card that really changes too much, so I check once again. He throws out another bet of $100, and just sitting with the nuts, I'm just going to call once again, hoping he's on some sort of draw, and let's just hope he gets there on the river. The river comes a 10, so I guess Queen Jack could get there, but I don't really know how often he has that. Like I said, I'm just going to check it again for the 3rd time, and he fires out $325. This is beautiful. He's sizing up big time, and he's playing really deep. I've got a $1,500 left in my stack. He covers me, so trying to find a sizing that we can check raise to, sitting with the nuts, and I feel like a sizing of $900 to $1,000 could do the trick, but since I'm sitting with $1,500 total, if he's going to call 900 or 1,000, he might as well call 1,500. So with that said, I decided to rip it all in, but he snap folds. Seems like he was bluffing the whole way. Unfortunate he didn't get there with like the heart draw of some sorts. This next hand, we have King Jack offsuit in the small blind with an under the gun straddle. Action folds to the button, who decides to open limp. Here, out of position with 2 Broadway cards, we decide to raise it up to $55. The under the gun player